here because I know it takes just a second to get us, but we'll just jump right into it. So I'm so excited. We have Christi with us today on the Sarah Scoop Show, and we are doing a special live episode. So that means Christi sees your comments. She will be able to pull out questions, answer those questions from people that are on. So first of all, Christi, thank you so much for being here. For anyone that doesn't know you, I want to give you a quick little introduction.
Sure.
So you quickly rose to fame as that witty, protective, and the hilarious mother on Dance Moms. And you were on there for 7 seasons. We got to see your relationship with your daughter, Chloe, and you guys just won the fans over, which I just think is so amazing. And now you share your life with over 3.4 million followers, which is just crazy and so cool that they get to see your everyday life. You're off camera via social media, and it's whether you're taking care of business or you're on mom duty or talking about that cute little new adopted dog. And you're just sharing.
Oh, you mean this guy who's on my lap?
Yeah, so cute. And sharing your favorite items of the week. Fans can't get enough of you. So thank you so much for being here. I would love to just kind of kick things off with, it's been a decade since your first season of Dance Moms premiered. How does that feel to you?
It feels like I'm old. But then it feels like no time has passed because it's, I think back and I'm like, how could that have been so long ago? But yet it was such a big part of our lives, and really it was life-changing. So it's weird. And it's just odd to think about. And what's really funny is that I have Chloe, who's now 18. She'll be 19 the end of this month, which is bizarre in and of itself. But my little one, Clara, was actually 1 when the show premiered. And so now she's the same age that Chloe was when the show started. So it's like this whole weird thing going on in my life because I'm like, wait, you were a baby. And no, wait, you're, living on the other side of the country. So it's really been, oh, sorry. Okay. It's really been quite a journey. Speaking of, my Chloe just walked in. She found one store open in the area, Target, and went to buy something. She needed to get out of the house.
You guys have some fun life going on over there. You've got your puppy, your daughters. So did going on Dance Moms, obviously, you have a great relationship with your kids from being on the show. How was that with your husband?
Okay. My husband is the polar opposite of me, like completely the polar opposite. He is a respectable member of society. Like he goes to work every day. He wears a suit. He, is very filtered and he's just respectable. And then there's me, who's kind of just like, I say whatever I think. And, I'll be totally honest. It was hard at the beginning. We definitely didn't see eye to eye. He did not want me to do the show. And I just kept saying, no, I think this is going to be something special. I think it's going to be something cool. And he was very against it. So those early seasons were really hard on both of us because we were away, Chloe and I. And something that fans don't really know is that when we would hit the road in the summers, we were gone for 7-8 weeks at a time. I would take Clara with us. I had a nanny who traveled. So Mark basically lost his family for those months in the summer. And I can remember us having some really big arguments on the phone where he was just saying things like, this isn't what I signed up for and you need to come home. It got a little scary there, but he came to terms with it. And it's worked out and we're fine now. But it got a little nerve-wracking for a moment.
Yeah. So, you obviously have a strong family now. What advice do you have then for people that want to kind of pursue what you've done with your daughter and give those opportunities while still keeping the family strong and together?
Yeah. Oh, God. You really have to just weigh out what is important to you. And to be honest, if I knew everything I know now, then I would have probably made different choices. I'm not saying I wouldn't have done it, but it was almost ignorance was bliss because I didn't know. I was just like, oh, I have no idea it was going to be a thing. I felt deep down it was going to be a thing, but truly you have to really prioritize, like, why are you doing this? Like, what is your end goal? And you also have to kind of think about, just there are so many people on reality shows that relationships crumble, and I can see why. It was interesting. I've now recently got back into watching reality. I've had to take a minute for a while to step back, and I was watching Survivor Wednesday night, and it was interesting because they broke the fourth wall and they were talking about when the survivors go home, how they have real trust issues. And I looked at my husband, I was like, I always had trust issues. Like, I didn't trust anything he said because you're so used to being lied to.
Right. So if you went back knowing what you know now and where you're at, because reality TV is a challenge for people, would you do it again?
Yep. I would do it again. I would do it differently, but I would do it again. Sure. I mean, listen, you only live once, and how many people can say that, you know, people all over the world watch their daughter grow up? Like, it's kind of a cool thing. Will you do me a quick favor? Will you turn on the light? It just got very dark in here because the storm's coming in.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, we're writing you up. So I had tweeted out that I was going to be chatting with you, and I had a few people asking me what was like your most memorable of all the like conflicts and fights that happened. People were interested in knowing. What's
the most memorable? Probably, I mean, I was always in the middle of a fight because I can't keep my mouth shut. I would have to say my street fight in New Orleans. Like, not many people have that on their resume. Not proud, probably my least proud moment, but I see like every Thanksgiving, it pops up in my feed somewhere that somebody turns that into a GIF of, like, you know, the little street fight. And the caption's always something like, when your crazy aunts drink too much wine at the Thanksgiving table. And I'm always like, this is so humiliating, but it's funny. How do you keep that, like, you know, you can just laugh at yourself? Were you always like that? Or is that something that just kind of came over time? No, I think I've always been like that. I think as a teenager, you're not, because you take everything so seriously. But I think I've always kind of had a good sense of self. Like, it's, you know, like, we weren't curing, you know, cancer or anything on the show. I knew what it was. And I think that was kind of one of the reasons why I think fans connected with me, because I always said what I was thinking, and it was usually what they were thinking. And I never took it too seriously. I mean, there were moments that I cried and all of those things because you're just in the moment, but I always felt like I was kind of in on it, you know, like, I got it. And I don't know if you can see the question, but this one kind of goes with what you were talking about from Lauren with the struggles that came with the show. Like, what kept you going? You know, it was so, like, you put one foot in front of the other, like, you get out of bed. I think everybody goes through really hard times in their lives, like, super hard, nothing to do with a reality show, like, really, truly hard things. How does anybody get through it? Like, you have to. And, you know, it without getting too far into, you know, behind the scenes information, when you sign up for a reality show, you know, it's not just like, I'm going to be on TV. Like, there's obviously contracts involved. There's networks, there's attorneys. Like, you have an obligation because you're a part of something. You can't just walk away. So you just kind of have to do it. I mean, there were times that I would sit in my closet and sob because I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to get dressed. But it was my job. I had to go. And so it's been many years since you and Chloe left the ALDC. Have you connections with any of the ladies that you met there? Yeah. I mean, I talked to, listen, we had a connection far before the show ever aired. I knew those moms for years. Holly was my neighbor. Kelly and I have been, you know, off secretly having glasses of wine for years before there was a camera there. There's a group chat with all the moms. You know, I was talking to Jill and Kira today and Kelly yesterday. Like, those are people who were in my life before. Do we talk all the time? No, our lives are all different. We're in different places. But when you go through something like that and not a lot of people understand what it was like, you kind of have a bond, regardless of if you fought on TV or not. Right. I think that's I talk to everyone. I will say that. And I think everyone can kind of guess who I don't speak to. Yeah, we don't have to name any names, but I think it's cool for people that watched you on the show to realize, like, those things were real. Like, these were real relationships and all of that. So you were talking about your daughter, Clara, earlier, and she's had
no interest in pursuing this kind of dance life.
No.
So you have got her involved with swimming though, correct? And so like kind of talk about that and what the differences are between being like a dance mom and a swim mom.
Yeah. Okay. So Clara, I mean, I put her in dance. There were segments I don't think ever aired. Like they showed her taking her first dance classes when we were still, on Dance Moms. She was there. She was like the little mascot. I have so many amazing pictures of Clara growing up on set. Like she would sit and interview me. We'd interview her, like just all this adorable stuff. The pink jackets the girls wore in the first season, like Kelly and I bought those at Target and had them made for the girls. Clara has one. I have all these pictures of her like running around Disney World, like in these jackets that they kind of became iconic. So I think that because Clara kind of just grew up in this world, she was always Chloe's little sister. Everyone all over the world, we would travel, we would do events. People were always like, oh, you're Chloe's little sister. And if you know Clara, she is nobody's anything. She is her own person. And I think that she was just kind of like, not for me. And she has beautiful feet, which hurt me deep in my heart that she won't dance, but we tried to make her dance. She literally hated it. And I think I just had to respect the fact that my kids are different. And so we took her out of dance. She's an amazing swimmer and it's so much more chill. Oh my God, Sarah, I just sit there and I'm like, oh, this is glorious because the pool's loud. So I don't have to talk to anyone. Most of the swim moms in our group kind of mind their own business. It's wonderful.
It seems a little more relaxed. So
very relaxed. Like I love that I wear like sneakers, in the morning. I don't have to have heels on. I just go. It's a big difference.
So let's talk about Chloe then for a second. Yeah. She is finishing up her freshman year. Isn't like, wow, time flies. Like you were talking about starting the show and how young she was then.
She's 9. She's still 9 as far as I go.
She's always going to be 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's it been like for you having your daughter, go to college and leaving?
So hard. Yeah. I think every parent goes through this when their kids leave for college. It's a struggle. Like it really is hard. I cried a lot. And I think I was in denial up until the morning she got on the plane. I can hardly even talk about it. It like chokes me up. And my husband drove her to the airport and like, Chloe didn't just go to college. Like she moved across the country and she moved to California in September when she took a semester off and didn't start Pepperdine until January. So it wasn't like I had that experience of dropping her off at a dorm. It was she got her suitcases, got on a plane, and we had set up her apartment. She moved. And it was just like, I kept waiting for her to walk in the door. And then of course she started Pepperdine. She moved into the dorms, like had the college experience. And I was really lonely because she had homeschooled for so long and had spent so much time like sitting across from me that I know lots of parents are close with their children and I'm not discounting anybody's relationship, but we had something a little different because we were on a show together. We traveled the world. We had spent so much time together that it wasn't just my daughter left. It was like I lost a piece of myself, but she needs to go. She needs to live her own life. Like she's so much more than just like my daughter. She has her own things to do. But I'm getting choked up. With quarantine, I was like, you need to come home. And she kept saying like, oh, it's fine. And I'm like, no, you need to come home. And she packed for a week. She was like, okay, I'll come home for a week. And she's been here for like 2.5 months. And she's like, I thought I was coming for a week. And we're just like, oh, we're so glad we kind of got like a bonus year with her, or months, not year. So it was really hard. And I think it's going to be even harder when she leaves again.
A lot of people have really gotten to bond with like their parents or children, either way, over this time, which is great. Yeah.
I mean, I think that we take it for granted that she's back here because she and Clara are fighting. Last night they were fighting like monsters. And it's just, I think a lot of siblings are doing that. And I was like, you guys, you cried for each other. Shouldn't we enjoy this? And they were like, no, she's a jerk or whatever. And even though they're 8 years apart, they still fight.
Yeah. So as her mom, like you obviously are her biggest supporter.
Sure.
And you've encouraged her to follow whatever path she wants. What is it that you think is her biggest passion? Like, that she's pursued both acting and dance, as long as working as a social media influencer. Like, what do you hope to see for your daughters?
You know, for Chloe, God, that's a hard thing to answer because she's 18. And like when you're 18, when I was 18, I didn't know what in God's name I wanted to do with myself. So I think that she's an insanely talented writer and she has a passion for that. But I think she needs just time to kind of like explore what works for her. And I don't want to say, I hope she does this, because I think that Chloe's also a pleaser. And so whatever I say, I hope she does, I think secretly somewhere in her mind, she's going to be like, well, my mom wants me to do that. So I don't want to say that. I want Chloe to do whatever makes her happy, because for years, dance didn't make her happy anymore. And she danced because people expected her to. So I want her to find what makes her happy, and whatever that is, I will be there in the front row cheering the loudest.
I love that. And I think that's great because people change their minds all the time. And I like that you're able to just let your kids be open. Like, try this. You're 18. Figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, you're 18. You're only going to be 18 once. Make mistakes, like figure it out. My God, I still sit here and I'm like, I should try that. My husband's like, you're 43. Stop.
I think that kind of goes along too with, since Dance Moms, like, you've become an advocate for empowering young girls and women. And what did this happen, and why is it so important for you to spread this message all over?
Because what I have seen, so this is something that I personally have had like a journey with. I noticed on all of my social media platforms, my following is younger. It's a lot of young women. Mostly it's women Chloe's age. And like, I get those mid-20s now that they were kind of in high school when the show was really at its heyday. And I have all these women reaching out to me through DMs or messages asking for kind of like mom advice, or just looking for, reassurance and, feeling so insecure. And I kept thinking to myself, like, oh God, I'm not your mother. I don't know. And then I kind of thought, well, you know what? Maybe I have a voice that they'll listen to, because they don't want to listen to their mothers, and I'm just telling them the thing that I would tell my own daughter, or I would tell my younger self. And so I think that I didn't quite realize the impact I had until I received a few messages that were really like just very impactful. And I thought I could really help to, I don't want to say change someone's life, because I don't know if it's that dramatic, but just set them in the right path, or just reassure them. And I don't take that for granted. Every single one I read and I listen to and I look at, I think like, oh my God, like, I can influence this person to have a better day or make a better choice. And I think that's really, I take that very seriously. And I'm working on some stuff right now that I'm really excited about, that I think I'm going to announce this summer. And I'm excited for it because it's for the first time, I think, that all of those years of fighting and, everything I did on TV, it kind of brought me to this place where I can help a lot of girls, or women. I don't want to say girls. And I don't know. I kind of feel like that's my calling, if that's too spiritual or not.
No, I love that. And, you had this opportunity and it grew into this huge platform. So I think it's amazing that you are seeing that and able to do something great with it. Because a lot of people do look on social media and they look up to people. And it's important that we have all of these positive messages out there.
Thank you. Yeah. And I kept thinking like, well, people, like somebody will say like, I love your shirt, but that's not, I don't feel that I am, the person that somebody comes to because they want to buy my shirt. Like, people come to me for a different reason. They watched Chloe and my relationship. They see me with Clara. And I just think it's like, I don't know. I'm really excited about where I think this can go. And it's what I've been working on all through quarantine. So I have felt very like empowered and with a purpose this whole time, where I know a lot of people are floundering. And I was just looking, I'm like, oh, my quarantine notebook is totally full. I need another one.
So you have all these great things in the works. Do you ever miss being a dance mom?
No, that's not true. Yeah. You know what? I think that if I I think I would go back for one day. If I could go back to maybe season 2, I would go back for one day and really just enjoy the moment. Because I think when you're living it, you don't realize how quickly things can change.
Yeah, no, I get that completely. So a few people have asked that I've seen pop up, and sorry, I've not been looking at the questions because we've just been chatting, but they want to know if you're going to be returning to reality TV.
Well, I've actually been approached to do 2 different things. They weren't right for me. Like these things, I was like, I don't think that's right for me. I mean, I think if the right thing came along, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I would probably, I might make sure I had a little bit more say in my contract this time.
No, yeah, I mean, you live and learn, right?
Yeah.
So another thing, you recently posted about your feelings towards people ask you if you work. And personally, I loved your response.
Thank you.
Can you talk more about this? Because I feel like,
like, do you work? And here's the thing. And look, I'm not discounting anyone who goes to an office 9 to 5 or anyone who is a stay-at-home mom. I have mass respect for anybody who works and gets up and does whatever your job is. But something that really bothers me is because people don't see me actually going to a job, like in an office building, it's constantly dismissed that I don't work. And I'm like, no, hold on a minute. I work every single day, and I have like, I run businesses. Like our family and myself and Clara. Chloe does it all on her own now. She's very independent in her business, but I helped to build that business when she was younger. We took the blessing of being on a reality show with a lot of people's eyes on us, and who went to social media and started following it. We could have just left it at that, but I knew that I could build that into something bigger, and it became personal brands and brand. If you're not familiar with what like a personal brand is, but just like building a business around that. And it's not just being an influencer. There's a million things you can do with an online presence. And that is something that I worked very hard. My brain never shuts off. And I think anybody who is an entrepreneur, that's the way I'm sure you do the same. You lay in bed at night and that's all you think about is like, what else can I do? Like, that's a good idea. I'm going to do a show about that. Right?
Exactly. I just loved that whole response and the fact that you even addressed that question, because so many people see people doing something different and they're like, oh, they don't work. And it's like, no, you work probably harder than most people, but you get to have the opportunity to go after new things and try new stuff.
Yeah. And keep in mind too that, sometimes my work, you might see us traveling. We'll just take traveling, for instance, and I won't use any place specifically, but let's say that we're, on an amazing trip, and, but it's something that we were invited to do, and it's a work trip. Even though you're seeing the highlights of the trip, just know that I probably got up at 6 a.m. to take those photos on the beach while the beach was empty. And I made my husband take 500 shots of it. And then I went home and I edited them after dinner. It's not just, you're seeing the highlight reel of it. You're not seeing all the work that goes into it. And yes, like it is, I'm so fortunate that that is work, because people would die for that. But it's hard. Like it is hard work. And so just because I always say I could be digging a ditch, but I have no reason to complain, but sometimes it's just relentless.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. I love that you're so open about what it's really like. I mean, people think you just go on the show and then you're good. It's like, no, you have to do something with that presence after the show. So I want, if you can see the questions on your end, got a few questions on here. And one comment that is just really sweet is someone's put, I love how supportive you are of your daughters pursuing what they're passionate about. I strive to be that kind of mom. So that's sweet.
Hannah, thank you. When I get comments like that, that makes all of the fighting and the ugly and the torture worth it, because I was very transparent on the show that I grew up not in a good environment. Like everyone's like, oh, I wish I had a mom like that. And I'm like, okay, you might not be a mom, or you might not have a mom like you want, but then you can be that mom when you become a mother. Like I could have followed in those footsteps of my childhood, but I was like, nope, I'm going to totally change the game and I'm going to be the mom I wish I always had. And am I perfect? Hell no. Like I make so many mistakes, and my kids probably hate me 95% of the time. But when they go to bed at night, like they know that I will back them up no matter what.
And I think that goes kind of like your personality and just your views on life. Like people can look at you as there are options and things, like you can make your life however you want it to be.
Sure, for sure. You are only like, you don't have to be a product of your environment. You don't.
Yes. So I don't know. Do you want to pick a few of these questions and see any?
Okay. Lauren asked, have you found a silver lining during quarantine? Yes. Okay. So here's my silver linings. Chloe's home. Love that. Love that I get that bonus time. I love that it, like, not running around and driving like to different activities has kind of given me a chance to focus. And so, like I said, I'm working on a few things that are coming out this summer. So excited about. And this is kind of like a catch-22 because we can't go out to eat. I have had to cook, and I am the most reluctant chef ever. I hate cooking, but I am a good cook, but I hate it. But since we've been trapped inside, I've been cooking like 3 meals a day. And I put both myself and my husband on a diet at the beginning of this, and we both have lost weight. And now he wants to kill me, but I'm like, look, you've lost so much weight.
So you really were, like you said, you had your quarantine notebooks. Was that like including your cooking and everything, just like a to-do, like this is my goals for quarantine?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see if there's any more before we let you go. I know there was some earlier.
Okay. What's my favorite memory from Dance Moms?
Earlier times.
Oh, I answered 2 Laurens. Just, you know what? All of the time that I got to spend with Chloe and watching her dance, but okay, this is where I really can't talk. To see the impact that she has on people.
Oh, that's so sweet. And that you have on people too. I mean, I just love how positive both of you guys are with your presence.
Thank you. Hey, my kids are fighting in the corner. Can you stop? See? I'm crying and they're fighting.
That's real life, right?
Yeah.
Someone had asked earlier if it's ever hard for you to have been on like the reality show, like just trying to go from like being a reality show personality, is it ever hard to just walk around and live life like a normal person?
Yeah, it's more if we're in like an airport or a crowded place. You know, if I'm just home in Pittsburgh and walking around, everybody in this area knows us. So it's not a weird thing. But if we go kind of outside of our community and we're traveling, we get stopped. And it's funny because Clara gets stopped a little bit when she's with me, because again, she's Chloe's age now and they look similar. So people almost forget that Chloe's grown up. They're like, are you Chloe? And she's like, oh, no. Because people are still watching reruns. And that, I think, is something else that Chloe, I know, struggles with, is that people still think of her as a 10-year-old. And she's like, I've grown up. Like, I'm moving on. Like, I do new things. And it's weird, I think, sometimes. And as new generations, and they're not even new generations, but new, like 12-year-old, 11, 12, 13 seems to be like the age that always finds the show. So every few years we have like that new crop and they're like, oh my God. I'm like, yes, it's us, but we're just 10 years older.
Okay. So I know that we've kind of taken up a lot of your time, but I feel like this is a good one to kind of end it and give everyone a little advice. So with all the hustle in your life, and I mean, everyone has a lot going on in their life.
Sure.
So how do you de-stress and relax and just stay this like positive person that you are?
Okay. I have a hard time shutting off. I'm constantly thinking. I like to read. I take a lot of baths. TikTok is like my new favorite thing. I died with
all over that with the dances.
It's hysterical. Like, it's hysterical. I really enjoy TikTok. So sometimes when I'm just like, oh, I'm so frustrated, like I literally crack up and I have no shame doing them. I feel like that platform was made for me. So I spend some time there. But as far as being positive, I look back on we've been unbelievably lucky. I feel so fortunate to where my family has ended up. I never take for granted the people who have put us in this position. So every person who follows me, whether or not, like, I comment back to you, I know you're there and I appreciate you. Like, that's kind of my attitude about it.
Yeah. And so going off of that, I guess, do you have something you want to just tell the people that have been with you through this whole journey?
Thank you. You've changed my life.
Oh, you're so kind and sweet. I love it. Well, Christi, we can sum it up. I know you hinted at a few things you have in the works, but you haven't, been able to share too much.
Unfortunately, it's always like the people above you that are like, oh, you can't release that. You have to do it this way. So I'm sorry. I would love to sit here and talk about it because I'm so excited, but just keep an eye on social media. I will be talking about, there's like 3 big things I have coming up. So the minute I can talk about them.
That's what I was going to ask is, so we know you have some exciting things happening. Where is it best? Just social media for people to follow along?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to my Instagram, my Facebook. I have a YouTube, for goodness sakes. It's all at Christi Lukasiak TikTok.
Yeah, but I mean, follow you on TikTok for sure. Those are some fun videos.
Thank you. No, but I mean, it's really just, I try to just it's probably Instagram more than anything. Like, here's what's happening, because I feel the most used at this point for my audience. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Awesome. And Christine, there's still some more questions coming in, but we will let you go because I know that you've given me a lot of your time, but maybe like they can reach out to you in comments and things like that.
Sure. Oh gosh, wait, Chanel's asking me about—
Chanel wrote you a long question.
Yeah, I mean, I will be happy to kind of follow up if I can.
Yeah, you can answer her question for sure. I just wasn't sure how long we had with you. So
yeah, she's just talking about graduating next year and under pressure, trying to figure out how to add creativity to my portfolio. How do you have any advice to brand yourself on social media? Yeah. This is like not a quick answer. You know what? Here's what I think I'm going to do. I think in the next week, because I did talk about this and I talked about it maybe in the last 2 posts, I think what I'll do is I'm going to do a live and I'll just talk about this topic because I keep getting a lot of questions about it and just brainstorm, like give people ideas of things I would do.
Yeah, no. And again, this is just another way that you're helping others, which I love. Like, she's seen your latest post on Instagram, like towards college students. And it's like, this is great. So you got Chanel, she's going to answer your question in Instagram live.
Yep. I'll do a live. I'll post a good time that I'm going to do that. I have to make sure that I have dedicated time and that I have answers because I don't have all the answers and I want to make sure I research.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Christi. You were a pleasure to talk to.
Thank you, Clara. Thank you so much for sharing your audience with me. And it was really lovely to talk to you.
And thank you for talking to everyone and answering questions and just being so open. We appreciated it so much. And we can't wait to see what's next for you.
Thank you.